So, before we start, I guess I'm gonna kind of tell you guys what we're doing today. This is believe week 5 of the new Savvy webinar series. Today we're doing from bold moves to big returns with myself. I'm the Nashville, Tennessee Savvy STR agent, and then Robyn Bass. So a little background on Robyn. Robyn Bass and I met through Bill Faith. She works with Bill and helps put on the large STR Wealth Conference here in Nashville, Tennessee. So she was looking to sell one of her properties up just north of the city. I don't know when we met. It was probably in start of Q4, I think, Robyn, of last year.
Yeah.
Uh, but we got connected through Bill and it just immediately clicked. Her and I can talk for literally hours on end. So whenever I was approached by the Savvy team at the hub in Asheville asking what we wanted to do, what we wanted to talk about, I thought it would be really good for us to bring in an actual investor and not just an interior designer or a cleaner or some vendors to talk about why it's important to have vendors. But I would love to bring in Robyn because she is a wealth of knowledge. I've had other clients that have connected with her, Melanie and Jim Barkley being two of them. But they connected with Robyn and just told me and raved about how wonderful she was and how much information and resources that she was able to obtain from learning from Robyn and just listening to her. So I thought Robyn would be a good person to bring in.
Well, thank you for having me today. And you being as young as you are so impressive to have taken all your knowledge and really turned it into something amazing. So
Thank you.
I'm
I appreciate
excited to
that.
be here today.
Thank you. Just want to confirm, can you see my screen?
I can.
Wonderful. Okay, so the overview today, we're going to introduce who the Savvy STR agents are. If you guys are not familiar with them, they're the team that we're a part of. They're an expansion team. The hub is based in Asheville, North Carolina. We're currently in 18 markets. I will get to that in just a moment. But we're going to do a quick intro of them, an intro of myself and Robyn. Kind of, we just did a quick overview, but I'll let Robyn introduce herself in just a moment. Then we're just going to be discussing and having an open-ended conversation, and then we're going to be allowing questions. Feel free to drop your questions in the chat throughout the webinar. Don't feel like you have to wait until the end. Lou, she's a part of our Savvy team, will be sending those messages over to us as they come in so we can, if they're appropriate to answer within the conversation that we're having, we'll answer them then, or if they're better to wait to the end, we'll answer them at the end. But any questions you have, we'll definitely be answering. And if you're watching this webinar, not live, but just as a recording, feel free to shoot us an email. We'll have our information at the end of the webinar as well. So quick overview on who the Savvy STR team is if you guys are unfamiliar. I'll move this out of the way. Tyler Kuhn is the founder and CEO of the Savvy STR Agents. He started out as a solo agent, built his team, and then realized that he was a beast at short-term rentals. So he then ended up growing a expansion team, and we're currently in 18 markets. Trish Bartley is our director of expansions in the US. She's an incredible woman, really great at what she does. She's the one that basically finds the talent and locates them, majority through social media or referrals and word of mouth. Finds the STR professionals in different markets all across the country and then brings them on. So when we have clients that come through looking for a specific buy box, we then have the capabilities to connect them in a multitude of markets. They may be thinking we want to shop in, say, the Gulf Shores market, but really there's 3 other markets that kind of fit their buy box as well and could give them the same return. So in exchange, they are connected with our expansion agents that are licensed professionals that not only buy and sell short-term rentals for their clients, but they also own and operate them themselves. They are the agent and the investor. So they really have a good insight on how to sell and how to purchase short-term rentals when choosing short-term rentals for their clients. So this is an overview of what we got going on. We are growing like wildfire. We started, I think, Trish, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but 3 markets at the start of 2024, and now we're in 18 at the start of 2025 and growing. Trish has got always someone in the pipeline, so that's wonderful. We're really grateful for the Savvy team, and I'm grateful to be a part of that.
Thank you, Kirklyn. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Great. Yes. Hey, we're in 21 live now with
My bad.
31
I'm
agents. I know, we're always growing, but thank you so much. I appreciate the shout out.
Yeah, absolutely. So now we're in 21 markets and growing. And yeah, that's this overview of who the Savvy team is. So if you guys ever want to book a call, you can go to savvy.realty/agents and you can get connected with Scott, who's our client care guy. He just basically is aware of all the markets. He loves to chat with our clients, get about an understanding of what their goals are, short-term and long-term, and then plug them in and connect them with the agents in the appropriate markets. So that's a bit about the Savvy team. Overview of myself, I am the Nashville STR agent. I've been with Savvy a little less than a year. I think it's start of March will be my 1 year with them. I met Trish through social media. Like she meets a lot of the other agents. She kind of saw what I was doing in Nashville and the presence that I was building. And she invited me to be part of the team. And it's been an incredible experience. I'm super grateful for that. I also have a property we launched back in July here in Nashville. Quickly become a super host and guest favorite. And we're slowly growing that. here in Davidson County. And the property that Robyn has, that she'll be discussing here in just a minute, is 30 minutes north of the city, outside of the metro of Nashville. And she's got an incredible story. So I'm super excited to hear that. But Robyn, I'm going to let you introduce yourself. Feel free to say any of the information that you'd want to share, or anything that we've not discussed yet before this call. Feel free to share that as well.
Well, excellent. Hi, everybody. Robyn Bass here. I am a 30-year veteran in the hospitality industry. I moved to Nashville when I was 25 years old to pursue a career in music, as many did way back then, and ended up waiting tables and doing all the things that you need to do when you come to Nashville for that, and got me into the hospitality industry. And I started there and never looked back. Who knows if that was meant for me or not, but if it was, I need to hear it again. And so being in the hospitality industry afforded me a lot of opportunities to start different companies. That's actually how I met Bill Faith. I met him 15 years ago. I was the president of a company called Meeting Professionals International. Actually, I was the incoming president. And Bill was running at that time, because he has had multiple startup companies and just been successful pretty much in anything he ever touched as an entrepreneur. And he was just a force of nature back then. I could tell it. And for me, because I was with Meeting Professionals International, he was at that time concentrating on transportation. And so we had a lot of alignment opportunities in the hospitality industry. And I really had an opportunity to start multiple companies. I had a very successful destination management company in Nashville, producing large scale events at Gaylord Opryland. I've just been in. I learned there. I worked at the hotel as the in-house event person, and did events for anywhere between 1,000 to 10,000 people. And then started my own company in 2012, which was an events company. I also had an entertainment company. I bought an association management company. Anything that really was something that was in alignment in hospitality for me, to be able to be an entrepreneur and grow inside that space of hospitality, and things that were in alignment with the other companies that I had, and helped each one of them grow. And that's actually how I got into short-term rental. I got into do you want me to go into all of this, or should I just keep going and then you'll just interrupt me?
Yeah, go for it. Go ahead and share like your overview of short-term rentals and how you got started, and then we'll kind of do a market overview of the Nashville, Tennessee market as a whole. And then if you want to share any of your specific personal numbers, feel free to kind of give people an overview of like what you were able to do with that, and then we can dive into the questions that you and I discussed prior.
Okay, perfect. So in April of 2019 was when I did Cedar Ridge. The short-term rental is Cedar Ridge, Nashville, the one that we're talking about right now. And when I actually lived in the house, I moved in there in 2017, and life circumstances sometimes change, and you think to yourself, all right, well, what can I do with this that would make sense? And it really, in my mind, made sense to turn it into a short-term rental. I will tell you that people thought I was crazy. I mean, back then they just did. They thought people were probably not gonna, that was too far from Nashville, that groups wouldn't come out there. The thing about it is it's a really large home. It's a wonderful home for groups to come to, families to come to, retreats to come to, bachelor and bachelorette. I don't know if anybody knows this, but in the national market, bachelorette parties were like number one place for people to come, probably because we're so centrally located, but got a lot of bachelorette parties, and people are always scared of that. Like a lot of other short-term rental owners are scared of groups like that. I never had really bad experiences with that. I loved it. People always treated the home really well. But what was really great about it, it was a great community place. It had a lot of places for groups to really make memories and have connection points. There were some very special things about that house, not only how it looked, and all of the different areas that it presented and activities that it allowed people to do, because it had a theater, it had pool, and it had a theater room, and it had it was on 10 acres. I mean, some of the really special things that made it a standout space. It allowed connection for the groups, but then close enough to be into downtown Nashville to be able to go down there and party and really experience the city and get the energy of that. So I think all the way around, people enjoyed coming there, because over a 3 or 4 day time frame that they would come, they would have a complete experience for everybody inside their group, which we all know that's not always easy to do. But I moved in there, circumstances changed, and I thought, let me turn this into a short-term rental. I put about $100,000 in it to be able to do that. I was thinking back about, I had to put a fence around my pool and all of the things that they're going to tell you need to do, so that you make sure that you are being compliant, and you need to you need to have the best insurances and all of those things. You need to make sure that you do all of the right things to be able to do it. And then I started renting it out in April of 2019. And I did that really specifically, as a lot of my entrepreneurial adventures have been sometimes around my family and being able to do things for my family. And every other year, my family of 34 people rent out a place to go for Thanksgiving. And I wanted to be able to be that place. So my mom was turning 80 years old, and that gave me the opportunity to say, you know what? My family's going to come in. I want to have a place big enough. Let me turn. And then I started doing the STR stuff based on the fact that if I can create a space where my family can get together, let me find a way to monetize that and, make money off of it. And I don't know how big that was at the time, because I wasn't really in the communities. Bill Faith didn't have the STR community at that time. But I had known him for 15 years. I told him that I was doing this. I knew that he was going down this route. And coincidentally, I don't know if anybody knows this, and I don't think I said it because I tend to ramble sometimes, but I've been the meeting planner for the STR Wealth Conference. I think this is my 5th year. We started off small at the Wild Horse. Well, now it's category 10 here in Nashville. And we are going to be July 21st through the 25th at the Music City Center. And we're expecting at least 2,500 to 3,000 people to come to this conference, which, starting off, I think the first one that we did was 500, somewhere in that arena. And now we're at 2,500 to 3,000, and who knows, it could be more than that too. But, all of this, everything has come from Cedar Ridge, and being able to have it. It was successful. When I started in April, I want to say the first year I did 500,000. From April until the following year, and then I did 194,000 in 2023, and last year the numbers were down a little bit, as I know that a lot of people were experiencing a little bit of that. However, this year is a wild year. It's all just kind of coming back again. It looks really, the numbers are really strong. There's like 115,000 on the books already for 2025. So it's been wildly successful, and I'm not sure what everybody else would want to know, but I have found the Nashville market to be just probably because I knew hospitality and I loved hospitality, and I loved being able to create experiences inside that short-term rental space for the guests that stayed at the house. And it has just been a wonderful experience over the last 5 years. And I will tell you, when COVID happened, the live events industry, which was my industry, really, really suffered. And that was soul crushing. That's probably the best word I could think of for me at that time. I had to let 30 employees go. And if it was not for the fact that I had that particular investment and that I was diversified enough, I really probably would have lost everything, because we didn't have a dime of revenue for 15 months. But I had my short-term rental. So Cedar Ridge has been a gift for me. ever since I started it.
That's
And I
awesome. Thanks for
love Nashville too.
Yeah, before we dive into more questions, I'm going to go over an overview of the Nashville market. You mentioned that the Nashville market is the world capital for bachelor and bachelorette parties, which is the truth. We are the world capital for bachelor and bachelorette parties. We've got 4,000 to 5,000 plus bachelor and bachelorette groups coming into our city every single month. The 2024 numbers are not out yet, but the 2023 numbers, there's an annual spending was 10.56 billion on just tourist dollars. So that's lodging, liquor, etc. Which equates to about $29 million a day being spent by tourist dollars, which is insane. And our city's growing also, just a lot of people relocating. We've got LA, we've got New York, we've got Atlanta, Austin, larger cities, Chicago. And I truly believe that Nashville is the next hotspot. And we've seen immense of growth over the past couple of years. But with that, that's also just making it a larger tourist destination. And we've got companies like Oracle, In-N-Out, other large corporations coming in and planting roots and calling Middle Tennessee home, whether that's Nashville or Franklin, which is just south of Davidson County. We've also got a couple multi-billion-dollar neighborhoods coming in. We've got River North, which is in where the Oracle plant is being planted. And then just south is the East Bank. That's just east of the Cumberland River, where the Titan Stadium is located. That's also a multi-billion-dollar stadium being built right next door. If you stand it in the current stadium, you would throw a rock and you could hit the actual new one. They're building it in the parking lot next door, which is wild to see from a local's perspective and point of view. But with all that being said, there's a lot happening and a lot being poured into the city. And a lot of people come into Nashville wanting to invest because they're of Broadway, which is our main strip of honky tonks where tourists are going. But with that, Robyn, your property is not in Davidson County even. It's north of the city, about 30 minutes, just 3 miles off the interstate. I know that we've talked about how you got into short-term rentals, how you met Bill Faith, but I would love to know what your biggest struggle was with starting Cedar Ridge and kind of what you, and maybe any mistakes that you've made along the way that you'd like to share that might be influential on those either starting out in short-term rentals or looking to kind of make a bolder move, because a lot of people, like I said, come into Nashville and they want to invest in Davidson County because that's what's comfortable, that's what's known. And if you look at comps, there's not a lot of comps for rental revenue out and where you are, but you obviously have an incredible super property. And also, if you could clarify on what the numbers are that you were sharing, that's just your nightly rental rate. That's not including any of your extra fees, taxes, et cetera, of what that gross number looks like. Is that correct?
Yes, you are correct on that. Those are that's the big number.
Yeah. That's awesome. So yeah, if you could just tell us
That's
more about what your biggest struggles were when starting Cedar Ridge was. I know you mentioned that it was COVID, and obviously your event business was not a lucrative business because of COVID and the pandemic. But kind of share what your struggles were with Cedar Ridge and maybe any mistakes you made along the way, and kind of what you've learned from both of those things.
sometimes the biggest struggles is, especially if you're intentional on wanting to have super properties. There's a lot that goes into that. You really have to understand hospitality, and you want to understand 5-star ratings and things like that to be you want to create an experience and a memory for your guests. It's not transactional. It's much more emotional, I think. And I think that was one of the reasons why we were successful, and guests wanted to come back, and other guests told their guests, "Oh my God, this is the perfect place for a group to go to." I think the biggest struggle was making sure that I had the appropriate help to be able to navigate that, because it wasn't just again, it wasn't transactional where a guest would just book, they would come, they'd have an experience and they would leave. You were trying to create a space for them to be in for 3 days. So things that were hard about that was making sure I had the right cleaning company, because you want your home to be really clean. I struggled sometimes finding somebody that could do it in turnover times when guests would leave at 10 or 11 in the morning, and being able to have the house ready by 4 o'clock for the next renters. When you're dealing with big homes like this with multiple bathrooms, multiple bedrooms, and inevitable groups leave things. Sometimes they leave the house better than other times. And you have sometimes those challenges of finding the right people that bring enough people to make sure that that's efficient and that can happen and it's done well. I think, I don't know that it was a struggle, but one of the things I learned when I was doing this kind of market was making sure that I understood that guests were going to ask for things like recommendations on photographers, recommendations on maybe chefs that could come in and do a special dinner for them. And so I was very intentional to put those lists together and understand in Nashville who would do a great job, understand the home, and be able to come in and service them in a way that created a very memorable experience for them and their guests. And so when you think about things that, if you're going to go down this route, those are things you need to think about, that the super properties are way less transactional, and they're a lot more creating a memory and experience. You want to have the extra things there. And, Bill Faith talks about it all the time, milkshake bars or, waffle bars and things like, having your home well stocked. You don't want people to have to leave for things. I was just looking on one of the sites the other day, and somebody was talking about a guest complaining about not having, I think it was salt or pepper. And I thought to myself, who doesn't put salt and pepper in their house? That sounded so crazy to me. And I thought, gosh, they need to they need to be inside our community so that they really understand that that's normal stuff that you do. Stock your home, make sure that people have what they need so that so they don't have to just leave and they can stay with their family and keep making memories, not have to do that stuff. But I digress. Ask me that question one more time, because I have obviously I'm answering a bunch of different things.
The struggles of what it was like to own Cedar Ridge, and the cleaning was one of them. I know one thing I wanted to touch on with was also your guest experience. I know the first time that you and I walked Cedar Ridge, the big thing I noticed was just how prepared you were, because you were 30 minutes from downtown Nashville and you were trying to prevent any problems before they actually happened, which is what I think every Airbnb host needs to be thinking of. Like, obviously staying in the home is super important to get a better understanding of what your guest is experiencing when staying in your property. But you have fully stocked kitchen, you've got all the appliances that they're going to need. You leave extra stuff like in your pantry. You've got your guest welcome books, which is so resourceful. You also have your guest welcome baskets. And you were not using listing optimization. You didn't have super updated professional photos, but you were the top 5% on Airbnb. You were a super host. You had incredible 5-star ratings. You had repeat guests that were coming in from out of the United States to stay at your property. So tell me more about what that unforgettable guest experience looked like and what you did to intentionally create that.
I think a lot of people that do short-term rentals are not doing it as their main job, and don't have a ton of different properties inside their portfolio. And I was one of those people. So I didn't optimize my listing. It's funny because I'm in the community that absolutely has all of those resources, and I'm aligned appropriately. It just wasn't where my focus was at that time. I think for me, I didn't want to get dinged on people not having what they needed when they got there. And I also wanted, in creating that guest experience, it really was, I did a lot of yard games. I made sure that I had probably one of the most stocked spice cabinets. It's a rather large house with 7 bedrooms and multiple baths. Everything is labeled. All of the light switches are labeled. I label all of my drawers and my cabinets so that people know where the bowls are and the plates and the flatware, and they don't have to open up 17 cabinets before they get to what they need. And I did that also for me. I want the people to be able to put the stuff back after they use it in the right place. That makes it easier on the cleaning company. But what wear and tear you would have on everything if people are just opening and closing, just trying to find what they need. I mean, those were the things that just made sense to me. I want people to walk inside there and go, wow, this is one of the most organized spaces. And even though it's big, we don't have to spend a half a day navigating around it to learn how to use it. Let's start our memory making right now. I think that was really, really important to me. And when you have a place that is 30 minutes from where the action is all taking place, you want to make sure that that people don't look bad at you because of that, like that they don't maybe inadvertently not realize that it is farther from the city. and that they have everything that they need there. So I just made sure that every pot and pan, every utility, I had a kitchen that people could cook together in, but also all the resources they needed to be able to order something out, have a chef come and cook for them, whatever they wanted their experience to be. I just tried to make sure I gave it, I provided that for them. Being in
Yeah.
hospitality, that was an easy thing for me to do because I have worked with all of these people in creating event experiences in Nashville. I just pushed it all. I just called them and said, we need to also be able to do it for these groups of 20 people that are 20 to 25 people that are staying, 30 minutes from Nashville. And that's exactly how we ended up doing that to create those memories.
Awesome. I love that. Thank you, Robyn. I think that from what we heard here was like you would locate the problems and prevent them, which is preventative measure to make sure that your guests had seamless white glove 5-star experiences and stays at your property. I know we're running short on time, so anyone that's watching, feel free to drop your questions in the chat. We will definitely be answering them on the call. But my last question for you today, Robyn, is what do you think your best piece of advice is to share to those who are watching today or will be watching in the future? I know we've got some investors that have not ever purchased a short-term rental. Maybe they just own their primary. We have others that have portfolios of 5 to 10 plus. So it could be a piece of advice for someone in between, just from you. You've got great advice and great info, and you've obviously have lots of experience in that. So what do you feel like needs to be shared today?
I think my advice would be alignment. I think my advice would be understand who your resources are, right? I mean, that to me, aligning with Bill Faith, that, that was serendipitous, but here we are right now. And he has been probably one of the best guides for me. But he introduced me to you, and that's how you meet the Ryan Bakeys of the world and the Tyler Coons of the world and all of the other resources that sometimes people don't go into short-term rental because they recognize that their strengths may lie in another area, or they already work a full-time job and this is going to be something that they're going to do on the side. But as long as you understand the community that you can go to get the answers, you can be successful. And I think that's a life lesson anyway, is to understand where your resources are. And the things that you don't know, make sure that you've got people that are surrounding you that do know, so that you're able to make informed decisions and good decisions and minimize the bad decisions. I mean, I've made plenty of them, but I've been really, really lucky in that I've had good people surrounding me, and I was intentional about that. And that kept me from those mistakes being bigger mistakes. And then I always learn from I never looked at mistakes. I thought, all right, learn that. Not going to do it again, moving on, and just keep doing that, keep moving on, keep getting better, just be intentional with who you're surrounding yourself with to create something successful.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. Thank you for sharing.
And Kirklyn's going to be your person. I mean, if you're looking to find a space, I do want to say, like, Kirklyn and his team were invaluable to me. I am just so grateful that Bill Faith put me in touch with him, and Kirklyn has put me in touch with many other resources to help me be successful with the other challenges that have come over the last 6 months, that we've been walking down different paths to the next journey, to the next opportunity, which is what we're doing. And this has been such an enjoyable experience, and I could not recommend Savvy highly enough at all. And you, Kirklyn. So if you're on the fence, don't be.
Thank you, Robyn. I really appreciate it. And I love that you use the word align. I think align is really how we operate here at Savvy. We want to align our individual clients with the correct resources, the correct vendors. When they come to us, and typically with my clients in our first conversation, oftentimes it's buyers. I'm giving them the whole rundown of who I am, who Savvy is, why they should work with us. And at the end of the call, they're like, okay, well, and we talk about like compensation even. They're, okay, well, what do we pay for the extra things? And I'm like, no, what we charge as commission to help you buy or sell is also like, you get the resources as well, with no additional fees. When we tell them we've got cleaners, we've got connectors of the interior designers, and the other resources and vendors that we have, they're blown away by that. Well, that's just a value add that we have as short-term rental specialists and professionals. And people really appreciate that. We've got one question in the chat. It says this may have already been answered, but how far from Nashville and what is the appropriate distance from a big city for a larger property size that can be used as a corporate retreat or larger family gatherings? So with this, that was a great question. Robyn's property is located almost 30 minutes to the T from downtown Nashville. It's really based off of the city. So I can only speak to Nashville because that's all I really know in terms of larger cities and short-term rental regulations. But it's based off the counties, and sometimes the cities inside the counties have different regulations. And Nashville and Davidson County as a whole has super strict regulations. So you're not going to be able to find a large property with a corporate retreat due to our bedroom size count and zoning regulations. Whereas Cheatham County, which is where Robyn's home is located, it's just north of the city. It's bordering Davidson County. They don't have any short-term rental regulations other than what this state requires, which is just operating, paying your taxes, and having a business license. But with that, we've got current clients. We're actually showing them this afternoon properties in Cheatham County. We're very intentional when locating properties like that, though, because there aren't a lot of comps out there. Robyn's being one of them, and I'm super grateful that I have her to be a resource for my other clients as well. But it's also based off of, okay, it could be 30 minutes from downtown Nashville, but what is that drive like? Is it a super windy drive? The one we saw last week in Cheatham County was a super windy drive up a hill. And we were like, can we imagine a guest coming in at 11 p.m., coming from B&A? It's a 35, 40-minute drive from the airport. It's dark, say it's raining. They're going through these curves. They're going to be super pissed off before they even check into the property. Like, that's not starting off on a good note. Whereas Robyn's property is all interstate. You take one exit and it's 3 miles off the exit. It's a super easy drive. So there's so many different factors that go into finding a property, and that makes sense. And oftentimes at the Savvy team, we're going to say no way more than yes. But that also helps build trust and respect with our clients to know that when we say yes, it's time to pull the trigger. But when we say no, we're not going to sell you that property. It's just not worth it. Any other questions? I know it's a few minutes past time, so I don't want to keep you guys here any longer, but I do want to say thank you so much for your time. There's 2 QR codes that you guys can scan. The one will take you to my, I believe, booking calendar. The other one's going to be Robyn's LinkedIn. Robyn, thank you so much for your time today. I really, really appreciate it. I know people in the chat have said that this has been very valuable and they've learned a lot. So thank you just for your time and being your willingness to come and chat with all the Savvy clients and social media followers.
Oh, well, thank you. If I can be of any assistance to anybody or answer any questions, I'm happy to help. And I
Awesome.
really appreciate this opportunity.
Absolutely. Well, I don't think that there are any more questions. Let me look in the chat real quick. Alana said, great listening to you both. Thank you, Alana. So yeah, if you guys have questions though, both of our emails are on the recording on the intro slides. So feel free to go back, grab those, and shoot us an email if you've got questions. Book a call with me if you have any interest in the Nashville market. And just know that the Savvy team as a whole, we're here for you. As Trish said at the beginning, we are in 21 markets and growing, and we're looking forward to taking care of your short-term rental needs. And then also this is being recorded, so it will be e-blasted out. So you'll have a great rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank you.